Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today, we're tackling Cisco Duo.
One of Cisco's solutions that's really making waves in the world of identity security.
And it's not just about fancy tech jargon either, right?
No, not at all. This is about understanding the very real threats that are out there.
Like, think about it. How many online accounts do you have? And how many of those are probably just protected with a password?
And we've all heard the stories, right? Passwords ending up in the wrong hands, data breaches. It's enough to make anyone nervous.
Seriously.
Uh-huh.
So how does Cisco Duo actually help?
It's all about adding that extra layer of protection. Think of it like this. You wouldn't just open your front door to anyone who knocked, would you? You'd want to make sure it's really who they say they are.
You got that right.
Well, Cisco Duo is like that extra layer of verification for your digital world.
Okay, so it's like having a digital bodyguard for all your online accounts.
Exactly. It verifies both the user and their device, adding that extra level of security to make sure the person logging in is really who they say they are.
That makes a ton of sense. But isn't all this security stuff usually a pain to set up?
You'd be surprised. One of the things that makes Cisco Duo so great is that it's designed to be really flexible no matter what kind of organization you are.
So walk us through it. What are our options?
So you've got two main paths you can take, agentless or agent-based integration.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure, think of it like choosing how you want to install security cameras around your house.
Okay, I can visualize that.
Agentless is like having wireless security cameras, super easy to set up, no need to physically attach anything to each device.
Gotcha. So it's like plug and play for security.
Exactly. And then you've got agent-based, where you do have a small piece of software on the device itself.
Kind of like having those wired security cameras for maximum control.
You got it. So whether you prefer a hands-on approach or something more streamlined, Cisco Duo has got you covered.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
But how does it actually make things more secure? We talked about passwords being a weak link, but what else is there?
Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What's really interesting is how Cisco Duo goes beyond just that initial login. They have this multi-layered approach they call continuous identity security.
Continuous identity security. Okay, now you're just using big words to sound smart.
Maybe a little, but seriously, it's all about constantly analyzing for any suspicious activity and adapting to potential risks in real time.
So it's like having a security system that's always learning and evolving.
Exactly.
All right, I'm intrigued, but let's dive into the specifics. What are some of the tools in Duo's security arsenal?
One of the ways Duo really steps up the game is with something called device trust.
Device trust, huh? Is that like making sure my phone itself isn't compromised?
You got it. It's like giving the device itself a security clearance before it can access anything sensitive.
Okay, so walk me through it. How does that actually work?
So Duo looks at things like the device's operating system, whether it's up to date, if there are any known vulnerabilities, and if there's any suspicious software lurking around.
Oh, wow. So it really is like a full background check for your device.
Exactly.
Well, it's not enough to just steal a user's password anymore. They'd have to hijack their device, too.
Yeah, got it. It adds a huge barrier for attackers.
That's impressive.
And it goes even further with risk-based authentication.
Okay, risk-based authentication. That sounds intense. What is that?
So picture this. You usually log in from your office every day, right?
Right.
But suddenly, Duo detects a login attempt from, say, a cafe across the world using your credentials, but from a device it's never seen before.
Oh, that sounds like trouble.
Exactly. That would be considered high risk, and Duo would know something's up.
So what happens then? Does it just shut everything down?
Not necessarily. It can actually adapt the security measures based on the level of risk.
Oh, interesting. So give me an example.
So instead of just your password, it might ask for an extra layer of authentication.
Like what?
It could be a simple push notification to your phone asking you to approve the login, or maybe even require a fingerprint scan or Face ID.
Wow, so it really personalizes the security based on the situation.
Exactly. It's all about making sure it's really you and adjusting the security based on the context.
That's really smart. Now, you mentioned something earlier about passwordless authentication. Is that really a thing?
It is. Cisco Duo is really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
No more passwords at all. That sounds amazing, but hard to imagine.
I know, right? But think about how you unlock your phone now, probably with your face, your fingerprint, or a simple PIN.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Duo is taking that same approach to a whole new level.
So how does that work for, say, logging into my work accounts?
They're using biometrics, those physical security keys, the little tokens.
Yep.
And even leveraging your smartphone as a trusted device to verify it's you, completely bypassing the need for a password altogether.
Wow, that's next level stuff.
Mhm.
But how does this all actually work in the real world for everyday businesses?
Well, one thing that sets Cisco Duo apart is how user-friendly it is, both for the everyday user and the IT teams managing it.
That's a good point. Security is useless if it's too complicated for people to actually use.
Exactly.
So how does Duo find that balance?
Well, their interface is super clean and intuitive, so even if you're not a tech whiz, you can easily navigate it.
Okay, so it's not going to give me a headache just trying to log in.
Exactly. And for the IT folks, setting everything up and managing users is surprisingly straightforward.
That's crucial. Even the best security measures are useless if they're too much of a hassle to actually implement.
Absolutely. And here's the best part. Duo plays nicely with a ton of different applications and platforms that businesses are already using.
Oh, so I don't have to ditch all of our existing systems to use it.
Not at all. We're talking Microsoft 365, cloud platforms like AWS and Azure. You name it, Duo probably integrates with it.
So it's all about enhancing what you already have, not ripping and replacing everything.
Exactly. And they're constantly adding new integrations, so you can be confident that your systems will stay secure.
That's a relief. Okay, so let's say I'm sold on Cisco Duo. What's the day-to-day experience like for, say, an employee just trying to do their job? I've definitely encountered my fair share of clunky security measures that make you want to pull your hair out.
Oh, tell me about it. Nobody wants to jump through hoops just to check their email.
Right. So paint me a picture. What's it actually like to log in with Duo?
Okay, so imagine this. You're an employee starting your day. You open up your laptop, enter your username and password for your work account, just like normal.
Okay, so far so good.
But here's where Duo comes in. After you hit enter, you get a notification on your phone.
Through the Duo mobile app.
Yep. And it's not a complicated code or anything. It's a simple message just asking you to verify that it's really you trying to log in.
So all I have to do is glance at my phone and tap a button.
Exactly. One tap and you're in.
That's way easier than I was expecting.
See? Security doesn't have to be a pain.
I like it. But what if I don't have my phone handy? Like, what if my battery died or I left it at my desk?
Cisco Duo has thought of that too.
Oh, good, because I was about to say,
They have a bunch of different authentication methods to choose from, so you're always covered.
okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about these backup options.
Well, you can use the Duo mobile app to generate a one-time passcode. You know, those codes that change every 30 seconds?
Yep, familiar with those?
That way, even if someone did get a hold of your phone, they still wouldn't be able to get into your accounts.
Smart.
Or, if you prefer having something physical, they also have those little hardware tokens that generate a code.
Oh, yeah. Like those little key fobs some banks use.
Exactly. And for even more security, you can even use biometrics like fingerprint scanning or facial recognition.
So many choices.
Wow.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure for security.
That's a great way to put it. It's all about giving you options that work for your specific needs and comfort level.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the user experience. But what about the IT side of things? What kind of control and visibility does Cisco Duo give the people managing all this? All right, so we've covered a lot about how Cisco Duo works, but let's bring this all home now. How are companies actually using this out in the real world?
Well, one area where Duo really shines is securing remote access.
Which is more important now than ever, right?
Mhm.
With so many people working from home or on the go these days.
Exactly. And it's not just about working from home anymore either, right? It's coffee shops, airports, you name it.
Basically, anywhere with Wi-Fi, people are trying to get work done.
Exactly. So you need a way to make sure that when someone's logging in from somewhere like that, it's really them and that their device is secure.
Yeah, because nobody wants to be that person who accidentally exposes sensitive company data just because they were using public Wi-Fi.
Right? Exactly. And that's where those multi-factor authentication and device trust features we talked about really come in handy.
So it's adding that extra layer of protection no matter where you are in the world.
Exactly. Cisco Duo can verify your identity, make sure your device is secure, and even adapt the security measures based on your location.
So it's like having that virtual security guard always watching your back.
I like that, the virtual security guard. That's a great way to put it.
I'm full of them. But I do have a question about something you mentioned earlier, this network gateway thing. What is that all about?
Oh, that's a good one. So with the network gateway, companies can give their employees access to specific applications on their network without having to use a traditional VPN.
Which, let's be honest, can be kind of a pain to use sometimes.
Exactly. Plus, they're not always the most secure.
So how does this network gateway actually work?
Think of it like this. Instead of giving someone the keys to the entire building, you're just giving them a key to the room they need to be in.
So it's like a more controlled and secure way to access specific applications.
Exactly. It's more secure and it's more user-friendly.
Okay, I'm starting to see why people like this Cisco Duo thing.
It's pretty slick. And we've mostly talked about general use cases, but it's used across industries, like healthcare, for example.
Oh yeah, healthcare, that's a big one, especially with all the electronic health records and telehealth these days.
Exactly. And you've got all those regulations like iPay that they have to comply with.
So how does Cisco Duo help in healthcare specifically?
Well, for starters, it makes sure that only authorized personnel have access to those sensitive patient records.
So it's like having a bodyguard for every single patient's data.
You got it. And it's not just about protecting against hackers either, right? Sometimes the threat comes from inside an organization.
That's true. You can never be too careful.
Exactly. So Cisco Duo helps prevent that too.
That's reassuring. What other industries are using Cisco Duo?
Financial services is another great example.
Oh, right, because banks and financial institutions have tons of sensitive data, like account numbers and transaction history.
Exactly. It's a prime target for attackers, so security is absolutely crucial.
So how does Duo help them sleep at night?
It helps them secure all those customer accounts, protect online transactions, and stay on top of all those really strict regulations in the financial industry.
So it's like building a digital fortress around all that sensitive data.
Exactly.
Wow, this is really impressive. But it makes me think that this is probably only for huge corporations with tons of resources, right?
That's a common misconception. Cisco Duo actually has solutions for all kinds of organizations, no matter how big or small.
Really? So even a small business could benefit from this kind of security?
Absolutely. And it's surprisingly easy to get started with, even if you don't have a huge IT department.
Well, that's really good to know. So as we wrap up our deep dive here, what's the key takeaway you want listeners to remember about Cisco Duo?
I think the biggest takeaway is that security is more important now than ever before, especially when it comes to protecting your identity online.
It's like they say, right? Your identity is your most valuable asset.
Exactly. And Cisco Duo provides the tools and the know-how to help you keep it safe.
Well said. This has been an incredibly informative deep dive. Thank you so much for walking us through it all.
My pleasure. It's always great to talk about security.
Absolutely. Until next time, everyone, stay curious and stay safe.